Welcome to the Discover Medora Podcast, where we explore the people, places, and experiences that make Medora an unforgettable destination. We're here to help you plan smarter, discover more, and experience Medora like a local. Today, we're joined by Robbie Lauf, the Executive Director of the Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Library. Welcome, Robbie.
Thanks for being here. It's a blast to be on. This is fantastic. Look at our backdrop. Not bad, guys.
Yes.
Not
Thanks
bad.
for being here.
Yeah.
Robbie, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where you're from, what brings you out to Medora. Tell us all the things.
So I'm from Mayville, North Dakota, halfway between Fargo and Grand Forks. Grew up there before going to the greatest higher education institution in the world, North Dakota State University.
Oh, yes.
Go Bison. Thank you, go Bison. Agreed. So that was where I did undergrad before getting kind of involved in government and politics, which is where I spent time in the governor's office in North Dakota, which is kind of where my TR and Medora story began, was working in the governor's office, getting involved with this concept of a presidential library in North Dakota to our greatest president. But that, so I've been involved in this project for about 10 years, actually, wow. From its kind of inception era. But it really escalated when I met my wife on a blind date out here when I was serving on the TR Library board. Her name is Medora. We met here, instantly fell in love. Not necessarily the same for her. But once that happened, I knew I was moving back and I was going to dedicate my full career and time to building this presidential library and welcoming people to the Badlands that changed my life. So it's a special place to me and my family, and we're thrilled to be here.
Good. I agree with you. We fell in love when we moved out here 7 years ago, and my husband says the same thing about when he met me. So what a coincidence.
Yes, it's about marrying up. Yeah.
Yes,
and it's where the romance of our life began, as Theodore would say.
Yes. So tell us a little bit about July 4th, 2026. It's right around the corner. Everybody wants to know, right? Like, who's coming here? What's going to happen during that week? All of the fun things. So tell us a little bit about the library and that.
Well, first, it's America's 250th birthday. It's the semi-quincentennial, which is very easy to say and very catchy. But the 250th birthday of America for me is the greatest celebration that we could ever coincide with as the opening of the library. So we picked this date for opening years ago, frankly, and kind of set our construction schedule against us. Let's just say it would have been easier to have done a different date. But for the grand opening, we're going to be celebrating across this country, and it'll be leading up to the culmination when we, officially open the doors on July 4th. But we'll have we're going to have a multi-day celebration that involves everything from drone shows to musical performances to incredible visits from government officials and people who have made this project possible, and just welcome them to the Badlands and kind of show off this place that frankly will have its day on the red carpet. The Badlands is our special place as North Dakotans. This is kind of an unveiling to the world that the TR story, the culmination point, the fulcrum point in his story happened here in North Dakota in the hero's journey. So it's going to be a spectacular celebration. There's going to be lots of things to do, but it will be a year-long celebration as we open up and welcome people here. It's not just going to be July 4th.
That's great. So for those that don't know, and if someone's never heard of it, what is the Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Library?
Absolutely. So Presidential Library started with FDR. After he was president for over 10 years. Before FDR, whenever the president passed away, whoever had their papers just became the private owners of them. And that's actually not a very good way to keep American history. It was an actual public policy issue and a historical issue. So when FDR passed, and he'd been president during such an important time, during World War II and during the Depression, they created what they call the Presidential Library System, which originally was all about a central place to go for research on the presidential libraries, a library filled with documents. Quickly, it transformed into a museum and a library, and as digitization has happened, it's become far more about a museum and basically a place to go learn about and engage with the relevance of former presidents. So now, since all the systems, every president since FDR has had one, people are going back and building them for former presidents before FDR. Lincoln has his library in Springfield, and there's been multiple efforts in New York to build the TR Presidential Library, but fortunately for us, TR had such an incredible connection to the Badlands. When he was getting older and his life was ending, he had his friend, Senator Albert Fall. He was in a conversation with him, and Senator Fall asked him, if you could relive one portion of your life, one portion and one portion only, what would it be? And he said it was his time as a rancher in Dakota Territory. That was post his presidency. That was post his time in Africa. I mean, to think of how important this place must have been to him really tells that this is the place you can experience his spirit and his real true legacy. So what we're doing here is building a library or a museum dedicated to the life and legacy of the greatest conservation president. Personally, I think the greatest president in American history. And it'll be a place to come and engage with his relevancy today, as well as get inside the museum, see the exhibits, to get outside. You know, TR would have wanted us to tell you, get out of the building, go out and experience this place that healed him. So that's the story we're trying to tell.
And don't you think that as North Dakotans and as all the people that come here, you really feel that when you come to Medora? It's almost like a getaway from the large cities, the life. You kick into analog, you know, you're roaming, you're just out there and doing all the things in the outdoors. It's just the perfect setting for that.
Well, I check my phone less in the Badlands. Like literally, you know, my heartbeat lowers. I got the ring that can prove it, you know, like you got measurements of all these things that say this place is good for you. Whenever you're out here, you can engage with people in the traveling public who are visiting and kind of talk to them about why they're here. And there are people who are here because they experience loss. There's people here who are looking for adventure, but they're all getting away. And, you know, most North Dakotans have in the summer an opportunity to, you know, it's a pilgrimage to come to the Badlands, but we want to share that pilgrimage with the country and the world. And, you know, for me, TR very formatively, you know, we call it, it's the fulcrum of the hero story. His life could have gone two different ways after he experienced such loss. You know, February 14th, 1884, he lost his wife and his mother on the same day in the same house. He wrote, as we talked about, the X in his diary that says, "The light has gone out of my life." That was a depressed and perhaps a guy looking to lose his life. And when he came to the Badlands, instead of that, when he was doing some risky behavior out here. He was challenging people to duels. He was, you know, he was starting ranches, and it wasn't going always great, but instead he was healed by the outdoors. Well, what do you think we want to do for the next generation of Americans who are tied to their phones, who are experience massive anxiety? We want to get them outdoors. And this is literally, for me, the best place on earth to do that. And it's connected to a president who proves that story. So it's a great place of healing.
You know, last year, my son in the summertime in August, he got grounded from all electronics, and it was the best month. And we continued on because we got him into all of these like series books, and he was outdoors and he's playing with bow and arrow and all the things. And I highly recommend it. And I could tell everybody in our whole household, like it was just so much
Go get some
calmer.
bruises. You know, it's a great place to get bruises.
Yeah. Get out, get dirty, right?
You get a little lost.
Yeah, absolutely. Get a little lost. The Monterey Trail's my happy place.
100%.
You know, getting out there, and I've gotten lost about 50% of the time, it feels like. And it's the best adventures.
Discover Medora.
Good to do it alone. Good to bring your kiddos along. It's a great place to get a little.
My favorite, I go on a bike and just put my AirPods in, listen to an audiobook, and just bike. And just, I have no plans, and I get back when I get back. It's a peaceful place.
Yeah. Do you do the Monterey Trail?
That's how I fell in love with the Badlands. I was, in I would come out here. I lived in Minneapolis. I would do the 8-hour drive, and I would, when I had 3 or 4 day weekend, I would start at the North Point and I would work my way down to the South Point. That's, you know, my pandemic, that was my healing space. You know, I think we all experienced a different experience during that time. You know, I needed to get outside, and I had more healing opportunities and conversations with myself, frankly, and connection to the outdoors. You know, when I grew up in Mayville, we went to the Mall of America more than we went to a national park. Now I've realized that, you know, one of those two things is better for me, and it's the outdoors. So the Monterey is my absolute favorite place on earth.
Yeah, that's great.
And it's about the same distance, right? Like you can go this way, or you can go that way, and one is
it's far better, and you know, this is a better place for families too. You know, My little son, he's going to be a biker. He just doesn't know it yet.
Love it.
So back to the library, when did this project go from idea to this is happening? And what was the real turning point?
Well, the state of North Dakota was gave a $50 million challenge grant under the leadership of Governor Burgum and the state legislature that frankly was the first money in to legitimize such a grand concept for a presidential library. So, you know, the 2019 era, right about then, I was serving on the board. We hired Ed O'Keefe, our CEO, who, you know, this project wouldn't have happened without him. That was when we realized that the big vision for the project was actually the most attractive vision for it, that we feel very broad, you know, strongly that, you know, the life and legacy of Theodore Roosevelt is worthy of a living building, challenge building, one of the most environmentally conscious buildings on earth when it opens. It's worthy of a presidential library designed by a firm like Snøhetta that pushes the boundaries of architecture, perhaps in the Midwest and frankly the country. We got a green transversible roof. I didn't know the word transversible until the TR Library introduced it to me. You're going to have the opportunity to connect with 170 miles of biking trails from it, from the Medora musical on the same butte top. It's a global vision at the entrance of Theodore Roosevelt National Park, the only national park in the entire system named after a person. You can hear the romance of this story. So when we kind of built that big vision in 2019, it just kept cascading with success. Like success begot success. And frankly, I think that's the entire story of the TR Presidential Library.
Yeah. So America 250 is going to be a momentous occasion for across the United States, but especially for North Dakota, right? So tell us about July 4th, 2026, and what does that week, or what are you most excited about with that week and that day?
Well, I got to do a little trivia question. I'm going to go to Jim here. So do you know what the year that the national park here, TR National Park, had the most visitation? And if you don't know it,
my guess is the opening year.
It actually is 1976.
Ooh.
So America's 200th birthday. National parks across the country experienced their greatest visitation, and frankly, we have not surpassed it since. Over 1 million people came to our incredible national park in 1976. Why is that? Well, that was semi-quincentennials are 250th. I don't know what the word is. Bicentennial, dang it. Oh, gosh, he's good. But the bicentennial, we saw across the country, there was a marked improvement and increase in visitation to national parks, historic places, and the outdoors by 10, 20% at most places. And we've not surpassed it. So this year, I think we're going to see a similar visitation and increase to places of great American significance where people come together to see that America is a global force for good. That while we are imperfect, we're striving towards better things and are better angels, as George H.W. Bush would have said. So for me, I'm most excited to see people experience places that changed my life. I'm a total TED head, as we call it. I'm so obsessed with Theodore Roosevelt. I think about him independently of work. I love American history. And frankly, I bend all the presidential libraries. Like that's something I like to do. But people will get to experience these things for the first time, and then maybe their love of curiosity of American history will spark. Their first visit to Medora won't be their last. We know that. Whenever somebody comes here, I had buddies from grad school who came from New York and Seattle and all across the country, and they've all been back. Because once you've been here, you realize this place is special. So for me, July 4th is most exciting because the world's coming here, and they're going to discover it. And hopefully that'll mean great things for decades to come.
Yeah. Well, you touched on it briefly with Snøhetta and this fantastic building. We've been fortunate enough to take some tours and be able to walk through it. So, but can you just walk through with us? I mean, between the design build with Snøhetta to what people are really going to experience when they walk through this, because I know when we've walked through it, I mean, from everything from like the food to the angles of the glass to everything being completely eco-friendly. It's just really an exciting experience.
Well, so this all started from a design competition where we solicited, I believe, tens, 100 different architects across the country and sent them a concept of like, here's the place, here's the concept, submit ideas for us. And, Ed and Allison O'Keefe were champions of this. And frankly, it's an incredible way to get ideas. Mm-hmm. So when you do that, it's also a little controversial because you can get different board members to like different concepts. So we narrowed it down to 3. We had a public design competition in Medora, one of the more memorable weeks of my life. And there were 3 global architectural firms we were selecting from. But very quickly, frankly, it was a unanimous selection behind Snøhetta because the building is about the landscape. It hides in the Badlands. You can see it from the national park at some points, but you really will have to look to find it. So we built a 100,000 square foot building on a butte top that hadn't been developed, and did it in a way that is going to make it zero water, zero waste, zero energy, living building challenge, embodiment of TR's legacy, all through the dreaming and imagination of incredible engineers, architects, builders, fabricators. So the building itself is worthy of visiting if you don't like TR and you have no interest in American history. You might come because it's going to be on the coffee table book of the 100 buildings you need to see before you die. I always think it will be in coffee table books across this country. So for us, it's 2 buildings with 1 roof. It has a rammed earth core with an earthen lodge roof, the earth roof. So it's kind of an homage as well to the indigenous peoples who were here first. How did they build their original structures? Rammed earth walls, earth roofs. So it's telling multiple stories in different ways that frankly I think are going to be worthy of visitation regardless of your fascination history. And then we're going to catch you and you're going to love TR because you came here for it. So it's a way to get people in, and we could have built a more simple, less complex building, but thank heavens we didn't.
So on the last tour that we did of the library, we walked through and there were so many interesting things as far as sustainability and all the things that you're doing with that. And one thing really exciting is I know your cafe is going to really hit on sustainability, foraging, all those different things. So talk to us about that.
Well, Candace Stock, our executive chef for the library, has built an incredible menu of food that is connected to the place. You know, it's not just, we're storytelling through food and beverage as well. And what I think is so fun about that is it's talking about healing in a different way, natural food-based healing, that our wellness comes from what we put into our bodies. And Candace Stock is one of the most incredible chefs that is in our region and frankly in the country. And she's cultivating a menu that's going to transform people's lives and connect. And you can grab your food and take a picnic basket out and go eat on the 93 acres of the TR Presidential Library and have a world-class cuisine experience. So the food and beverage is going to be just as revolutionary as the exhibits itself.
Yeah, that's so exciting. And I think sharing bread and doing all of
Yeah.
that with your friends and your family when you're going into the library is so special. There's so many other sustainability features. Please talk a little bit about that as well.
Well, we're doing something called the Living Building Challenge, which I say it's like the LEED Platinum on steroids, because we actually will be LEED Platinum as well. But basically what we're doing is building an institution that when it's open will be one of the most green and incredibly eco-friendly buildings on earth. And it's the largest of scale that's doing the Living Building Challenge by this time. So that's going to be a reason to visit technologically alone. But additionally, you have different experiences that are kind of taking that building practice onto the landscape and transforming the place around us. I think one really good example of that is the Native Plant Project. So we partnered with NDSU, the Research and Extension Service, to cultivate and grow a native seed mix that is taken and harvested from places in the park, from different parts of the Badlands, and creates the seed mix that is restoring the prairie that the butte was built on. So actually the land wasn't in the healthiest condition when we took over the 93 acres from the federal government. So we're restoring it back to what it was before. And this seed mix now could be used in reclamation projects across the Badlands from now on. A good example of this would be, oil and gas and development across the Badlands. They do reclamation work after.
Yeah.
They bring it back and restore it to the way it was. But previously, they were using a seed mix that was from Oregon and Washington. So slowly, we were replacing the Badlands with Oregon and Washington seed mix. Now we'll have a seed mix that can be used by private industry, can be used by the Forest Service, by the National Park, whenever there's disturbed land, to restore it back to its original intent and make sure that the Badlands stay bad.
That's
And so
exciting.
good.
And so good.
Yeah.
We have the baddest lands. Yeah.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
So more about sustainability. What is the 4.0 project?
Well, so in order to acquire the Living Building Challenge certification, we have to have zero water, zero waste, zero energy, and zero carbon offsets. So in other words, it's a really ambitious project to take us on a global stage and really put our practice, or put what we're preaching into practice, saying that we're going to have a building that is net zero impact on the world around us. And we think it's going to be an inspiration to projects across the world. Different products that we've built and developed in the library are going to be used in different things. I know Dickinson Ready Mix created a low carbon concrete that is just going to revolutionize construction around the globe. And it's all done by local contractors who've really joined and done the impossible with this building. So it's going to be a bigger impact than just this one structure.
So where did the vision come with the sustainability, and where did you, from ideation to project being built, like where did that come from?
Well, when we challenged people to do the design competition originally, we said we want them to build a presidential library that TR would be proud of himself. And, the footprint of the building's environmental impact, we thought was a core fundamental practice of that. So we challenged the builders and architects and designers to come to us with different ideas. And frankly, Snowhetta arrived at this concept in the idea of doing a Living Building Challenge. And it's been inspirational to our entire team, to our board, to our partners. And it's going to be, I think, the first presidential library that'll have the Living Building designation, not the last.
So you talked a little bit about team. So let's hear more about your team at the TRPL library, and you have folks all around the country working for you. A lot in North Dakota, boots on the ground.
For sure.
Yeah. So talk a little bit about that.
I'd say we're still hiring. We would encourage people to go to trlibrary.com and look about joining our team and joining your career. This is the most inspirational mission to attach to. So we're going to have about over 80 people on our staff, both in North Dakota and across the country. We have a global footprint, but Medora is the headquarters. This is the this is the key point where the majority of our team will be focused on connecting people to the place. So we have an incredible amount of people from, I think of our friends and team members from Chris Blackwell, our Vice President of Operations, Amy McCann, our first local hire in Medora, who is an incredible leader in the community, to people across the country, our leadership team, our philanthropy team, who are raising money, not just in North Dakota, but on the East and the West Coast. People love Theodore Roosevelt across this country. So we have a lot of folks that are on the team. I think we're at 45 to 50 team members right now, but we're still hiring. So I really encourage people to consider whether they want to join us in the arena, as we say, and telling TR's life story and legacy for decades to come. And also, I just note, we're going to accept volunteers too. If you're looking for an interesting way to spend some time in the Badlands, come volunteer with us at the library.
So what can we do to help, obviously, spread the word, but help you and your team? What are some things from now until opening that we could really do how could they follow along?
Well, first go to trlibrary.com, join our newsletter, follow us on every social platform humanly possible, but also join as a member. We almost have 1,000 members at this time. We'd like to even expound beyond that. You don't have to be from the region to get benefits. You'll be able to access different opportunities, programming, experiences, unlimited visitation. That's an important way to do it. But second, I would also say invite people. People come to North Dakota if you invite them. We are all hosts of this place, and share the story and give them that Badlands experience that changes their lives, like we all have been done. So I think it's like the kindest thing I get to do is to take somebody to the Badlands, because I know this is going to be a positive experience for them. So I'd say bring them to Medora, bring them to the TR Library, and change their lives.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm really excited because I knew high level about Theodore Roosevelt, and then moving out here, learning more and more. And there is a fantastic documentary on Amazon Prime, actually.
The Roosevelts?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Our whole family, we watched it 3 days straight. And
that's a good weekend.
It really is. It really is. And just to know all of the change that Theodore Roosevelt has done over the years. He was back behind, child labor laws, manufacturing with like meat and all the different things.
Food safety.
Great
white. He is. I joke like he's the answer to every trivia question. That's the secret. It was TR. Where did the West Wing come from? It was TR. Who named the White House? TR. Who was the first president to ride in a plane? TR. Who was the first president to ride in a submarine? It was TR. It's always TR.
Yeah.
Who saved football? Theodore Roosevelt. It's an incredible legacy he had, but it's almost crazy because he's a top 5 president by all historical standards, by all historians. And I would say number 1. But his life before and after the presidency is almost more interesting than his life itself. His loss he experienced before, his time as the Rough Riders. The United States military was 20,000 soldiers at the time, the Spanish-American War. He rebuilt and was the first volunteer group. They went on to inspire a new generation of the power of American capabilities militarily. This was the first war after the Civil War. We de-escalated our ability to build a military after the Civil War for fear of it happening again. Yeah. And he re-energized people's patriotism. He sailed the Great White Fleet and showed that we can be an international power, a force for good. And that's our buddy TR. But he also, in his post-presidency, went to Africa on a scientific expedition. He was hired to go harvest specimens that are still used for research today. Then he went and mapped the River of Doubt in Brazil, which is now named the Rio Roosevelt, over 1,000 miles that he mapped, and lost 3 members of their team during the visit and nearly lost his own life during it. This guy was insane. And thank heavens for him. But so I always kind of joke, we got TR. It's no offense to Coolidge, who I think is a very interesting president, but we got the guy. We got the best story to tell.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you, I have 3 kids, and I am so excited for them to be able to both learn more, and then also experience the TRPL. So
they're going to, it's a museum that kids drag their parents to, not parents drag their kids to. That's what we're trying to do here.
Yeah.
So
and I love that, like you said, it's both the learning, but it's also come and experience it, get outside.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's so important, because I'm going to
awesome.
tell you that those are my kids to the T.
Yeah.
I'll learn for a little bit, and now let me go do.
There's enough text on walls in the world. You can read every fact about him, but you want to feel it. He was a kid too. He was the world's biggest kid. He just happened to be president.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And live boldly, dare
greatly.
Yeah. One of my favorite things about the documentary, back to it, sorry, I have to say, is just that
I like talking documentaries.
I did not know about this though, is like when he was going on the ships and there was like all of these different soldiers that were going and he wanted to bring his crew in, he just went and grabbed a piece of paper from someone and he's like, I have my orders right here that you need to let me and my team go in. It was a blank piece of paper. And he just like walked up on the ship with his team and he wasn't supposed to go in there. He's like, he's not supposed to be doing that. And he just went for it. And I feel like there's so many different stories along that lines where he's just going for it and you're not going to hold him back.
No, he was a force of nature, unlike any human probably in history. Read a book a day, woke up, barely slept, 30 cups of coffee. I mean, this guy must have been insane and incredible at the same time. And he was, black care never catches a horse whose pace is fast enough, is something he said and believed. In other words, if you keep moving, you can't think of how things are bad. Activity is good for you. And that's kind of like something I've learned in my life. It's just like, instead of being stagnant and just thinking of how it could go wrong, move forward, dare greatly. And that's like TR to a T.
Yeah. Definitely. So tell us who's behind this project. I mean, there's so many people that I'm sure you could name a long list of people that are, behind this, but really like who's building this?
Oh, well, I hesitate to even start because there's been, so many people who've been formative in this all being possible. But, I'd say there's different people who've exhibited incredible leadership at important times. I think of Ed O'Keefe, who, has transformed this institution in ways you can't even measure. I think of leadership of Secretary Burgum now, which, back when he started getting involved, when I first talked to Doug Burgum about this, he was Doug Burgum, just, citizen running for governor. And now he's gone from governor and leadership in the state to Secretary of the Interior, which is, he leads our national parks. I mean, this is an incredible story. I think of J.E. Dunn, the group who is actually building the institution. I like to joke, like, we pretend at the library we're building it. It's like, no, there are people, 170 people up on site right now actually putting, boots to dust to build this institution and design it. There's local projects and dimensional innovations, these folks who've helped to design and build the exhibits that are going to be life-changing. I just was up there and got to see the Elkhorn Ranch. We're at the Elkhorn Ranch in the museum. JLG, all these incredible partners. I mean, I can barely continue. Snowhetta, their design has inspired this entire thing. Also, as you go and philanthropically make this possible, the vision is what inspires philanthropy. And we've had incredible benefactors who've made this possible as well. From North Dakota, from outside of North Dakota, people who love TR who never knew about TR, but just want to connect people to the outdoors. It's pretty special.
Yeah. So what milestones, like between now and opening day, are you really getting excited for, or things that people should watch for, look for? For example, tickets are just opening up here soon.
End of March, you can book your tickets to the TR Library. It's July 4th and onwards. You got to there's a lot of opportunity to come. And then join as a member, a founding member of the Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Library. You get unlimited admission to the library. You can come every day if you want. Jim's going to be there every day, going through the exhibits, memorizing TED Facts. But there's that sharing and becoming a member is so key. It's also a way to support institutions like ours. I think of the Cowboy Hall of Fame where we are here, you should also be a member of this institution, the Medora Foundation. There's ways to support these groups that frankly are largely driven by philanthropy. Institutions like this are not here to print and make money. They're here to serve the traveling public. And so joining as a member is incredible. I'd also say our substantial completion of the building is going to be pretty cool. When they hand the keys over to us, when I get to go in and bring my stuff in the office, that'll be a special moment. And then, welcoming people the first day, July 4th, the actual traveling pub, it's going to be special.
Yeah. And tell me if I'm wrong, but people can come and host events there. You're going to have a lot of other programming post, right? 4th of July. But I mean, throughout all year long, people can come to the library. You can come host your events there. I may be doing something similar.
There we go. That's what I like to hear. I mean, you should book your board meetings here. You should have your classes from your K-12 and your community should come out here. You should get married at the library. I got married in Medora and it was the best ever. So I encourage, this institution is not just a museum. It's going to be a place of cultural convening. It's going to be musical entertainment. There's going to be speaker series. There's going to be opportunities for you to use the facilities for your own needs. And I just encourage business leaders across the area to consider it. And then also get married in the Badlands. Yeah. It's where the romance of my life began. Me and TR.
Yeah. So good. Yeah. So good in the Badlands.
Yeah. So we're getting close to obviously July 4th. And what are some things that travelers should be aware of as they're planning their trip? So, I mean, could you segment it for us as far as like, from now until the library opening and then maybe library opening to end of summer and
Sure.
then, yeah.
So first I'd say, like, if you're in Medora before, you got to stop up in the hill and take a look at it. It's an incredible construction project that is worthy of history just looking at what's being built. It's very special. But post-opening is when the magic begins. We're hiring team members now. And they're like, oh, I can't believe I'm joining so late. I'm like, it hasn't even started. This is actually about people coming to the museum. It's not about, the construction of it. It's about connecting people to TR and history and to the Badlands. So what I'd say is post-opening, the institution you're going to need to get your tickets online. There probably will be not a lot of opportunity to just show up and appear because we're going to sell out a lot of the institutional tickets. We're seeing a lot of visitation already and indications of interest. But what I would tell the traveling public is don't just come to Medora for the library. It is about experiencing the Badlands. Mm-hmm. There used to be a song about, spend a day in Medora. It's like, no, you got to spend like 2-3 days here minimum to see and connect. You got to spend a day in the park, the South Unit. You got to drive up to the Elkhorn Ranch, the cradle of conservation, this place that TR connected and created his ethos that protected 230 million acres across this country. That happened at the Elkhorn Ranch. You got to get to the North Unit up by Watford City and experience what I think is the Grand Canyon of the Badlands. My favorite spot in the Badlands, frankly, is up north. You got to hop on the Mattahay Trail. You got to see the musical. You got to see the gospel brunch. You got to go to the local businesses and experience what they have to offer. Go horseback riding. Get a little dirt in your boots. Yeah. So spend multiple days out here and connect to the outdoors is wildly important.
Definitely. So any know before you go trip planning things that you'd like to give our listeners something to...
Book your tickets at trlibrary.com before you arrive, or just check for availability. Make sure you do that. Make sure you leave a little time there for adventure and for meandering around town. I think that's wildly important. And then connect to the outdoors. TR would be upset if anybody came here and didn't step foot in a place that they didn't know. Like, you got to connect with something that's a little bit wild.
Absolutely.
Get outside.
It sounds like the 4th of July will be very packed. You've got some VIP invites. You've got some donors coming in. When is a good time for the general public to show up at the new facility?
That's a great question. I think if you're thinking about when to actually come to Medora to experience it, I would do after the 4th and after, because we're going to have a VIP experience, which is for our invited guests who made this institution possible, the 2nd and 3rd, but that's going to be largely closed off to the public. But after the 4th, the TR Presidential Library said, if you get your ticket online, you got to come out here and experience it in the first few months to kind of see the majesty and interesting nature of a new presidential library. There's not many times in history there's been a new presidential library, but I would do it after the 4th of July. Come out and book a few days in the Medora, not just one, and engage with the public.
Perfect. And you're open most of the year, all year?
During the summer and the shoulder seasons, it's 7 days a week. Okay. And then winter, we're going to have it reduced down to 4 or 5 days a week. But we're going to really focus on getting K-12 kids and school adventures in the winter. The field trip that we've all had, that one field trip in our childhood that we just can't forget about because it was so formative. This is going to be that one for a lot of people across the multi-state area. We want people to come out. But all summer long, it's 7 days a week, we're going to be open.
Great. What are you projecting for attendance? We've heard the Hoover Presidential Library had 300,000 people the first year. Are we looking at...
Well, we're excited to find out. What I would say is that 1976, I said, was very visited. 2026 is going to be 250th anniversary of America. I think we're going to have hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people come and connect to this institution. And there's already a lot of people that come to Medora. But frankly, we're trying to add ourselves to the Great American Road Trip. What's going on in Yellowstone? There's 3 million people that go to the Black Hills in Yellowstone. If we pull 10% of that up, we can really revolutionize visitation up here and take Medora to even the next level of visitation. So I think there's going to be a lot of people who come, especially that first year.
Yeah. Okay, so now I have a lightning round of questions. Are you ready?
Obviously,
for this?
I'm not very good at lightning. I talk a lot.
Okay, yeah.
No, I'll go fast.
Good. This is good.
Yeah.
Okay, so what is one exhibit or something that you can't wait to showcase?
The Amazon. It's easy answer.
Okay.
You get to ride down the River of Doubt, and TR will take you on you'll sit in a canoe and it'll be projected all around you. It's the most probably Disney ride that we're doing there. It's an experience. You need to be ticketed separately, but you'll get to go around the River of Doubt with it. We have actors who are in Severance who playing different roles in it. You're going to get to learn and experience one of the greatest stories, one of the less told stories of TR's life.
What is one surprise that people won't expect?
that the building looks at the place TR arrived his first time, and the symbolic nature of this place. It looks at the spot where he got off the train, September 8th, 1883, the symbolism of the entirety of it. And it looks at the national park.
That is really, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I just
See?
learned.
Surprise.
Did you know that?
Surprise.
I mean,
She's been on a few tours. They've been on some
Yeah,
tours.
yeah.
We've been on a couple tours.
The right answer is yes, you're surprised. No,
yes.
And one main reason why you think everyone should put Medora on their calendar.
Because it's a place where you'll slow down and you'll connect with people. Whether it's yourself or your family, you're going to have a deep connection and you're going to heal.
Perfect.
Medora's excited about it. The public is excited. We can't wait to get you open.
Awesome. Agreed.
Robbie, thanks for being our inaugural
It's
visitor.
an honor. This is big.
Thanks for being here. Thanks for spending some time with us on the Discover Medora podcast. If this episode inspired your next trip, be sure to follow, share, and keep following along to discover everything Medora has to offer.